Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, loved people. Welcome back to Minnie's Mental Health. How are you today? Where are you around the world? Where are you watching me from? I'm always expectant that people watch me from all over the world. A girl's gotta have faith, pardon me. So, yeah, I just want to say welcome back to Minnie's Mental Health. I hope that you're all good and that you've been enjoying all the holidays, whichever holidays that you get in your country. So, on my last video, not the two previous videos, because there I was sharing about my Christian faith, but on my last video where I talked about the secret ingredients that I liked the most, that I believe that would have got me far ahead at the time that it should have. I'm gonna connect that, and that was to do with confidence. So I'm gonna link that to the video that I have for you today. So today I'm just gonna be talking about my first time going to university. So for university, I applied for a university outside of the city where I was living. I decided to go and to move away from home just so that I could get the experience of being independent. I think growing up, especially, I think I sort of had that sort of sheltering, and I just wanted to be more independent. I wanted to see how I am like without, like parents' supervision. And I was just confident, so I decided to apply for a university that was outside of the city where I lived. So that was quite an interesting experience. I remember taking the train to go to that city, and I was kind of not organized in terms of accommodation because in university, at least let me talk for England, where I currently still live. When you are going for the first time, the university sort of provides you with information for accommodation within the university building. So they have like residential campuses. So for some reason, I don't know, I just didn't want to live in a university resident. Basically, I didn't want to be a resident, pardon me. I didn't want that sort of accommodation. I just wanted to live privately with friends or people that I know. But this time around, actually, I took a leap of faith, and I was told by one of my brother's sort of classmates that there was an opportunity for a house that she would be living with three other girls and then myself included, and I said yes. And one of the main reasons why I said yes without knowing them was because they were Christians. So I just remember feeling confident but expectant, but also nervous and a bit apprehensive, because obviously this was going to be a big move to a new city, living with people that I didn't know. For the very first time in my life, I was not going to be near my parents, or like, that when you're in a family and you've got your parents and your siblings, that's like your comfort zone. But when you move outside of that sort of space or environment, you sort of, for me, I just discovered that, I can be independent. I discovered like that confidence that I did need, as I explained on my last video. Specifically there, it was obviously for applying for jobs, being confident in my skills and abilities, but this time it was different sets of skills, like life skills. I discovered that practically I was ready to live with people, even though I think certain qualities like patience I really needed. On that I would pause. I like to always give my sort of opinion or advice. So I would say for parents or caregivers with children, especially young children or teenagers, maybe want to go on a project, a summer camp, or like sort of like any opportunity where they would need to be independent. I think obviously with the right sort of research about it, having people that you know maybe that might be going with them, trusting the actual project, the organizers, the leaders, whoever it is. I think it's good to give children those opportunities to experience settings or environments where they can be independent, obviously within reason, and that's up to you as a parent or caregiver. I think especially for children who sort of have that sheltered or protected lifestyle, it can also be dependent on like just like how the family structure is, the dynamics, the culture. I think it's also like a cultural sort of difference, because one thing I did notice as well that a lot of my friends at that time, obviously I was confident now to have friends from all over the world because of the school that I went to, that I have explained about in my old videos. I realized that a lot of my friends from European countries became independent and at a very young age. Some of them by 16, 17, they had moved out the house. Whereas a lot of my friends from African countries, including myself, obviously, we were sort of sheltered, by our parents, family, still lived with our families, even in our 20s. So it was quite intriguing to see like how my friend's upbringing was like different from mine. So back to the topic of independence. Yeah, so I do believe that it is good for children to sort of explore opportunities where they can be independent. I think it's good, especially when they're still young, for their upcoming futures, as parents or caregivers, whether we like to believe it or not, but we all know that it's true. We won't always be with our children, especially physically. We would have to just trust that the sort of values and principles that we've been teaching them, more importantly, that we've been modeling to them, that those sort of principles basically are like solidified, in their minds, in their hearts, in their lifestyles. We can only do our best and pray and ask God to do the rest. So I understand both sides. When I say both sides, I mean for parents who sort of model cuddle, as we call it here in the UK, so overprotect their children. I understand why they do it. I understand, sincerely, I do. In a way, I share that sentiment in a way. So, for example, my sort of dream would be to homeschool my children. I'm not going to lie, especially with the sort of schooling system here in the UK, what they're taught at schools. I'd rather homeschool my children and keep them in my world up until the time that they and obviously, like how I'm saying, like, build that confidence, train them, like get them equipped and ready. But I would rather just homeschool them because of my Christian faith, my beliefs. So I do understand those of that opinion, but I also understand parents who, for example, send their children to boarding school from a very young age. I actually went to boarding school, even though it wasn't for that long. So I've kind of experienced both sides in a way. I've been overprotected more, which is not a bad thing, as I in my own personal opinion. But I've also experienced like being in boarding school, not having parents around to tell you like that, oh, structure your day, for example. So I understand when parents send their children to boarding school, they get them out there, like they get them to be confident and independent from a very young age. So yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both sides of like parenting styles. So without saying too much, because in this particular topic I believe it's a topic within topics, I would say confidence is good, confidence is key, and one way out of many ways to build up confidence is to allow young children, teenagers, young adults to have experiences where they need to be independent basically. So I'll leave it at that for this video. Thank you ever so much for joining me. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Yeah, please like, comments, share, subscribe if you like the content. God bless you and see you on another one. Bye.